Well, there's some other people, while we're talking about it, that we may have sent get well wishes to. There's a literal A to Z of the pro wrestling business is in various new positions. I've been inundated by people since we talked about John Moxley's last Jackass episode that he had with Darby and the stuff he did on television, whatever. And I talked about his admiration for the bank addicted drug robber Nick Gage. Now a bunch of people have said they just his former, I guess, former friend, current friend, but they don't work together anymore. The guy that runs Garbage Championship Wrestling, the GCW fellow, apparently said, just because everybody's asking me, no, Nick Gage is not going to appear at any shows upcoming because he's in rehab, has been for a while, expects to be there indefinitely. But at the same time, are you just supposed to tell people when your friends are in rehab, but when it's news to them? Are you just supposed to blurt it out in public? And secondly, he hadn't apparently, I guess he'd been on the outs with the guy anyway, because he hadn't worked for him for a while in the middle of being in or out of rehab, because he was in rehab last year too. But we need to acknowledge that. Everybody said, well, at least he's trying to turn his life around.
Good for him. It would be funny if he came out of rehab and denounced garbage wrestling. I realize now the error of my ways. I like to reinvent myself. But, good for him, though. Getting better. And who knows if he gave permission for the promoter to make the public announcement or not. But
that's, but also, and I'm not going to tear the guy down. And here's the thing. If he wants to get better and not be in a wrestling business, more power to him from me, too. My only problem was that he was in a wrestling business and it was fucking an embarrassment. And I don't truthfully know whether any type of substance abuse had anything to do with what he was doing. But what he was doing, whether he was on caffeine or fucking anything, was still embarrassing to the wrestling business. But it's not. Again, it's not all his fault when you look at it, because you got a guy that obviously either has issues or, as we've said, and this is not a revelation, doesn't come off to be that bright to begin with. Why is there somebody that says, okay, I'll pay you to come over here and use can openers on people or whatever the fuck is going on and fall through furniture and bleed in barbed wire and do whatever the fuck it is these people do? What? At some point, there's athletic commissions all over the place. And I know these types try to skirt the athletic commissions, but is this even athletic anymore? Or is this some kind of goddamn, audience participation Rocky Horror Picture Show gone wrong with injuries that some just city statute needs to regulate, whether it's wrestling or, roller derby with goddamn razor blades on your fucking elbow pads or whatever. Can this even be relegated to an athletic commission anymore, Brian, is my question.
Maybe a circus commission that does all the things that aren't athletic endeavors that are just involving shows in front of people. I really don't know. I mean, this isn't a new discussion. Going back to everything Ian Rotten did that got in trouble with the Kentucky State Athletic Commission. I mean, that's 25 years ago? Maybe even a little more. Somewhere in that range. It's not a new thing. That company that Nick Gage worked for travels around, does a show here, a show there, a lot of shows in Jersey.
That's the easiest way to stay ahead of the authorities.
I'm always surprised there's any audience for that stuff, but I don't think it's a relatively big. I mean, the audience for this show, for us talking about it, is bigger than the audience interested in it.
Well, yeah, but it's a subculture, but the
Yeah.
problem is it gets lumped in with pro wrestling, and you see the mug shot from when he robbed the bank. Pro wrestler robs bank. Or yeah, pro wrestlers in rehab again. And by the way, I'd be more inclined to support his efforts if this apparently wasn't the first, or not the first, but wasn't a number of times. It wasn't the first time he's been in rehab. That's happened before. And wouldn't you think after you went to prison for robbing a bank 10 years ago or whatever, it might have been ring-a-ling on the alarm clock. But nevertheless, that's what pro wrestling gets the stigma of this guy when you see him coming out with the no teeth and the screaming and the baseball bats and barbed wire and things. And there's obviously something going on with him personally, which came first, CTE, chicken or the egg, I don't know. But that's the whole bunch of these people that think that they're proving something somehow by mutilating themselves and slicing themselves up in these low-level, low-budget indie things to be wrestlers because they can't make it any other way. That's my issue with these people. And the people who allow it to go on and foster that subculture. But we wish him well, don't we, Brian?
Yeah. I hope he gets better in rehab. Hopefully it works. And if he wants to come back to wrestling, I'm telling you, come back. Your gimmick is you're a wrestling reformer. You come out, first interview you do, you say, I watched Moxley and Darby, and gosh darn it, they've gone too far. And I've changed my ways. I've thrown away my pizza cutter. And now I want to change wrestling. And then every match when people pull out tables and stuff, he gets rid of all the weapons.
What he could use a spatula as like a fly swatter, just to smack the back of their hand.
A ruler, like a teacher. He gets a ruler, and when someone goes to do something, he smacks them with the ruler.
Well, no, but see, I was going from pizza cutter to spatula. See, I'm staying in the food fucking space, as the kids say.
I didn't realize that was a part of the thing. You wanted to, it was a weapon. It was more about the weapon space than the food space.
Well, but see, it's still the genre of utensil, but it would be lightened up a little bit. So I still like my simile better. Well, fans, just vote in spatula or ruler.
Yes.